So, Tuck Everlasting was originally a children's novel by Natalie Babbitt. After it was successful as a book, it was adapted into both a movie and a musical. The movie sounds weird, I didn't watch it, but the musical was really good and really underappreciated. It's not a groundbreaking show by any means, but I genuinely appreciate it. It stands out from other recent Broadway shows as being a legitimately artistic, family-friendly musical. The songs in this show are not phenomenal, but that's because they don't need to be. Tuck Everlasting isn't the type of show that needs to be sung through with a magnificently integrated score. It's more typical musical fare than other, more complicated shows, because the score doesn't subvert any genre expectations and/or limitations. They just went, hey, this show is set in colonial New England, let's make it sound kind of like folk music. And that was it. It really complements the simplicity of the story and makes the emotional core more accessible to the audience. But for a musical that appears pretty normal in most things, the music is not bad. I like the songs and enjoy listening to them. There aren't too many, and there's enough emotional variance to get a good round experience out of the soundtrack. Much like the music, the story of Tuck Everlasting is beautifully unpretentious. It's really about living life. That's what it boils down to. There isn't any metaphysical and superlative truth that goes beyond the common experience, but an equally true sentiment of how we should treat life. In the end, it kind of makes you ponder whether dying makes living matter, or living makes dying matter. The point is, all we have to decide is what to do with the time given to us, no matter how much time that is. And if you live your life to the fullest, death cannot defeat you. Obviously, the show doesn't encourage a hedonistic lifestyle and going crazy YOLO, but it's more like encouraging you to fill your life with meaning. It's a completely different approach than some of the more grandiose musicals are, but that's part of its charm. I like how what Tuck Everlasting shows on the stage is literally your life story. It's simple, but it's real, and a lot of people struggle with these questions at one point or another. Even though Tuck Everlasting is not an overachieving show, it still manages to do some pretty cool things. The dance ensemble is used heavily in the show to portray memories, visions, and experiences. The ballet number at the end is the perfect climax for a show that set up the dancing motif that they did. Because interestingly enough, dancing in Tuck Everlasting can almost be equated to achieving a life that's being lived, which is what the story is talking about. Life is made up of experiences that change you. So throughout the show, the ensemble comes to represent life itself through memories and experiences. Anytime a character is choosing life and having an actual experience, the ensemble breaks out into ballet. But during the character songs that only reflect the sad nature of the Tucks' lives, no movement is made. Like birds singing from a gilded cage, the characters that lack life aren't free to dance. To conclude, Tuck Everlasting is a sincere musical, and I love that the story is accessible to children. It's a family-friendly musical in the perfect sense, because they don't just put in random stuff that would appeal to kids, then sneak in adult stuff that goes over their heads. Instead, they focus on telling a true story that resonates with mature audiences, but is simple enough for kids to understand. Broadway in the last 10 years has been seemingly against any shows that are acceptable for all ages, and even Tuck Everlasting only ran for 39 performances. As far as family-friendly shows go, Tuck Everlasting is close to the top of the list, and it's very easy to find because most schools and community theaters don't have a hard time putting it on. I don't know if I'd say this show is a true masterpiece, but it's really good, severely underrated, and extremely useful when it comes to finding theater pieces you can introduce your kids to.